I can't believe this.
What happened, Shoma? Don't tell me your cat is pregnant again.
Did you see the news? They have hiked out mobile plans.
By how much?
By 100 rupees. My plan used to be 399 and now it's 499 for the same service.
But why would they do that?
Are you also wondering why your mobile bill has gone up? Now stay tuned to find out, because today we will dive into the reasons behind recent tariff hikes and its impact on you, the consumers, and the telecom companies. Let's begin. You're watching Informed Investor, and initiated by Equentis. First, let's take a brief journey through the telecom sector over the last few years. The telecom industry in India has seen tremendous growth and transformation. And with the entry of Reliance Jio, the industry has seen many changes. Now, in order to penetrate the market, Jio adopted disruptive market strategies. It offered free voice calls and data services for an initial period of several months. Now, this offer extended multiple times, and post the free period, Jio introduced data plans that were significantly cheaper than those of its competitors. Now, this led to substantial reduction in data costs across the industry. So with Jio's aggressive pricing, this caused unsustainable tariffs. Several telecom companies couldn't sustain the intense competition and were either acquired or merged. Now, major consolidations included Vodafone merging with Idea, forming Vodafone Idea, and the exit of players like Aircel and Tata Teleservices from the market. And this consolidation led to fewer but stronger competitors. We see how consolidation has been the story of the telecom sector in India in the last decade. Now, presently, the Indian telecom market is dominated by three private sector operators: Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel, and Vodafone Idea Limited, and one public sector operator, which is BSNL. Now, let's take a closer look at each of these private companies in the telecommunication industry. Now, Bharti Airtel is quite a big player, operating not just in India but across 17 countries in South Asia and Africa. Now, they've got a massive customer base, over 500 million people, and they're actually among the top 3 mobile operators globally. Now, things haven't always been smooth sailing for Airtel, especially after around 2016. Now, despite its impressive growth trajectory, Bharti Airtel encountered challenges post-fiscal year 16, particularly in the face of heightened competition. As we discussed, the entry of Reliance Jio disrupted the market with aggressive pricing strategies, putting pressure even on strong players like Airtel. Now, take a look at this chart to understand how Jio's aggressive pricing strategies impacted Airtel's ARPU. Now, ARPU essentially measures the average monthly revenue a telecom company generates from each subscriber. Now, higher ARPU means better financial health for the company, which is super important for their growth and stability. Now, this chart paints a pretty clear picture of how Jio's entry into the market affected Airtel's ARPU. Now, before Jio's launch, Airtel was doing quite well. But once Jio started offering super cheap plans and even free services, things changed quickly. You can see that Airtel's ARPU took a nosedive, dropping to just about 115 rupees by fiscal year 19. Now, this is a stark contrast from where they were before Jio came into the scene. However, Airtel responded to these challenges with resilience. First off, they rolled out competitive data plans to keep up with Jio's pricing. They knew they had to offer something attractive to retain their customers and attract new ones. And it wasn't just about price. Airtel also put a lot of effort into upgrading their network infrastructure. They recognized that the growing demand for high-speed internet wasn't going away, so they invested heavily in making sure their network could handle it. This meant better coverage, faster speed, and a more reliable service overall. Additionally, the telecom sector consolidation also worked in Airtel's favor. With fewer competitors, Airtel could focus on gaining market share and improving profitability. As you can see on this chart, this strategic response paid off, leading to steady improvement in their ARPU and its return on capital employed. Now, coming to Vodafone. Vodafone entered the Indian telecom market in 2007 by acquiring Hutchison SR for $10.9 billion, aiming to capitalize on the rapidly growing mobile phone industry. Now, post-acquisition, Vodafone enhanced its network, significantly improving services, and quickly expanded its customer base by 2010. However, the market dynamics shifted dramatically with the rise and aggressive competition from Reliance Jio. Now, to stay competitive, Vodafone then merged with Idea Cellular in 2018, creating a leading telecom operator. Now, despite this, Vodafone Idea faced declining market share, dropping to around 19% by March 2024 due to Jio's dominance and intense competition from Airtel. Now, financially strained by heavy debt totaling rupees 2 lakh crore, mainly owed to the Indian government, Vodafone Idea converted some of its liability into equity shares, making the government its largest stakeholder. Additionally, they recently issued 18,000 rupees crore FPO to address dues and expand 5G infrastructure. Now, to conclude, despite the massive FPO, it's not all rain and sunshine for Vodafone. The company faces intense competition from Airtel and Jio, financial problems in the form of debt repayments, and ongoing legal proceedings. Now, only time will tell if Vodafone Idea's strategies will pay off, allowing it to compete effectively in the highly competitive Indian telecom sector. Now, coming to Reliance Jio, who is the current market leader in the telecom industry. Now, as we discussed, Reliance Jio entered the Indian telecom market in 2016 with a strategy of providing free voice calls, ultra-low-cost data services, and this led them to rapidly acquire over 50 million subscribers in less than 3 months. But Jio didn't stop there. They also built a strong 4G network and introduced affordable smartphones and the popular Jio phone, making high-speed internet accessible to millions across India. Plus, with digital services like Jio Saavn for music and Jio TV for streaming, they created a whole digital ecosystem that kept users hooked. So in a nutshell, Jio's aggressive pricing turned them into a market leader. Airtel had to innovate to keep up, while Vodafone Idea, despite their merger challenges and debt issues, remained an important player in the game. Now, coming to the recent tariff hikes. So last week, these big players in the telecom sector, Jio, Airtel and Vodafone Idea, decided to raise their prices for both prepaid and postpaid plans. Now, these hikes range from 10% to 30%, which is quite a jump. Now, what's interesting is how this move highlights the concept of an oligopoly in economics. Now, let me give you a quick example. An oligopoly is where just a few large companies dominate a market, and here Jio, Airtel and Vodafone pretty much rule the telecom landscape. While the basic service is similar among competitors, firms differentiate themselves through network quality, customer service, pricing plans, and additional services like digital content subscriptions or financial services bundled with the telecom services. Now, when one of these companies raises prices, the others usually follow suit. It's like a domino effect. Once the market leader Jio announced their increase, Airtel and Vodafone Idea quickly followed. This kind of coordinated price adjustment reduces competition among them because they know customers have limited alternatives. Now, why can they do that? Well, these companies have a lot of market power. They can influence prices and services without worrying too much about losing customers. And it's also not easy for new companies to enter the telecom market, as there are huge costs and regulations to deal with, which keeps competition low. So what does this mean for us as consumers? Unfortunately, it means we have fewer choices, especially when it comes to avoiding these higher prices. Sure, we can switch providers, but with everyone raising prices around the same time, it's hard to find a better deal. Now let's talk about why this hike happened and why was this hike required. Now, from a consumer standpoint, of course, it will burn our pockets. But let's talk about this from a business standpoint. Now, as we discussed several times, when Reliance Jio launched its 4G services in 2016, they started by giving it away for free for a whole year. After that, they kept the prices much lower than other companies. Now, this move made internet data in India the cheapest anywhere in the world. In fact, India ranks in the top 5 when it comes to cheapest data, with the average cost of 1 GB of mobile data at 17 cents. Now, sure, this did have several benefits to our country as a whole. As a result of the cheap data, more and more people across India could afford to go online. Now, this big change happened especially in rural areas and places where internet access used to be hard to get. It meant that millions of Indians could now use the internet for things like learning, healthcare, and buying things online. But now many in the industry are saying that the prices should slowly go up. Now, why is that? Many telecom operators have accumulated significant debt and face financial challenges due to prolonged low tariffs and intense competition. Now, being in the telecom business is also difficult. Telecom companies have to spend a lot on maintaining and upgrading their networks, especially with their shift to 5G. Now, the equipment, spectrum licenses, and infrastructure investments don't come cheap. So telecom companies raise tariffs after 2 years, primarily to boost their average revenue per user, crucial for profitability and for sustaining investments in network technology, spectrum, and 5G deployments. Now, speaking of 5G deployment, how's that shaping up for telecom players? Well, this brings us to the topic of spectrum auctions. So what exactly is a spectrum auction? Now, think of it like an auction you might have seen for art or antiques, but instead of paintings or rare items, telecom companies are bidding to buy the rights to use specific radio frequencies. Now, these frequencies are essential for transmitting data wirelessly, like how your phone connects to the internet. In a spectrum auction, the government sells these rights to the highest bidders, and it's a crucial process because different frequencies are needed for different types of communication like 4G or 5G. Now, this year's auction was quite low-key. Telecom companies only bought about 1.3% of the available spectrum. Now, you might be wondering why so little was bought. Here's the deal. Telecom companies are being cautious. They've already spent a lot on 5G spectrum in previous auctions and are still waiting to see the payoff from those investments. Secondly, it shows that 5G monetization has been an issue for telecos, given that the high-speed technology is yet to show a promising end-user use case. Therefore, they are being cautious to not acquire a large quantity of such spectrum until they figure out a monetization path. So now let's talk about the impact of the tariff hikes on the telecom companies. Now, previously, telecom companies were offering big discounts to attract customers. Now, this aggressive pricing war was hurting their profits because they were making less money per user. Now, with the tariff hikes, companies are not focusing on heavy discounts anymore. Instead, they have more control over their pricing. Now, this change in strategy helps them make more money from their existing customers. Now, when companies charge more, they earn more. This means higher revenues and better profit margins. And according to Carriage Ratings, with the tariff hike, the ARPU will improve about 15% to Rs 220 in fiscal year 25 from Rs 191 in fiscal year 24. And its profit before interest, lease, depreciation and tax is also expected to increase by 20% to 22% by fiscal year 25. Now, when a company's financial health improves, it again becomes more reliable and stable, which is great for investors. Now, with stronger finances, telecom companies are also seen as better investments now. Now, let's look at what's been happening recently. Over the past 1 year, Airtel stock rose more than 60%. That's a huge jump compared to the Nifty's 50's 25% gain. And look at how much Vodafone has gained. That's a massive 134% in comparison to Nifty's. Now, hence, we see most of these new developments already priced in the markets. Hence, valuations do play a key role in selecting the right investments. However, there are many factors that we can look forward to in the telecom industry which could positively impact the telecom sector. Now, number one is tariff hike. If there might be a hike in prices for telecom services again, this of course will mean higher bills for customers but more revenue for telecom companies, which could boost their value. Now, as more people start using 5G, telecom companies could charge more for these services. However, right now, not many people are using 5G and we don't have many practical uses for it yet. Now, in the telecom industry, having only few big companies makes it hard for new ones to join the current companies like Reliance Jio and Bharti Airtel. Now, these big companies don't face as much competition as they can set prices and services without worrying too much. Now, the stability lets them focus on making their networks better and offering new services, which helps them make more money in the long run. Now, companies have to pay a certain fee to the government called AGR, which is called Adjusted Gross Revenue. Now, if this fee is reduced, it could be beneficial, though it is hard to predict when and how much it might help. Now, if Jio, a major telecom company, lists its shares in the stock market, it could also attract more investment and increase the perceived value of telecom companies. Now, on the back of the new tariffs, if telecom companies can reduce their debt and improve their financial health, this will also help them gradually increase their value. Now, if telecom companies reduce their spending on infrastructure, their costs would decrease, again impacting their profitability. So to sum it all up, the future of the telecom sector is looking pretty exciting. These changes are setting the stage for better services and new innovation. Now, for investors, it's a signal that the telecom industry is gearing up for a period of strong growth and opportunity. However, as we always say, valuation remains the key to picking the right investment. Having said that, this is me, Merlin Susanna, signing off. Take care and stay invested.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.